The Siberian territory of Russia stretches west to east from the Ural Mountains to the North Pacific Ocean, and from north to south from the Arctic Ocean to Mongolia. That's a massive 3,500 miles by 2,100 miles. Siberia covers 10% of the Earth's land mass and is completely covered by snow from November through to February. Although large parts of Siberia are populated by humans, there is a huge radius which remains desolate. Obviously, a large chunk of landmass, which is rarely visited over thousands or even millions of years, must yield some interesting, long-lost artefacts or remains. Here are 5 amazing Siberian finds. This object was found 40 meters beneath Siberia's Kuznetsk Basin. It was uncovered by a coal mining company in 2015. UFO enthusiasts are saying it's a UFO of some kind, an alien drone due to its saucer-like shape, but archaeologists claim it to be man-made. The object is roughly circular, with a diameter of around 1.2 meters and weighing roughly 440 pounds or 31 stone. Excavator Boris Glaskov, who found the object, said, "I've never seen anything like this object, which is obviously man-made, out here in the middle of nowhere. It is a real mystery." The object was unearthed beside a second similarly shaped object, but the other one broke in two during the excavation. Since the object was found as far underground as 40 meters, it's thought that it could be older than the Russian woolly mammoth, whose remains have been discovered in the area at a depth of 25 meters. I couldn't find a more specific estimate for the age of the discs, but the Russian woolly mammoth remains dates anywhere between 45,000 and 10,000 years. Some historians have suggested a link between the Siberian disks and the Dropa stones, which was said to be found in the mountain slopes separating China and Tibet in 1938. But as the Dropa stones are now widely regarded as being faked, I won't go any further into the theory. So are the saucer-shaped disks man-made, or did they in fact fall from outer space? More recently, a larger 2-meter stone disc was unearthed in the Kuzbass region. Some believe it to be up to 1 million years old, but there is no definite link between the two findings. The remains of a 12,400-year-old puppy was found on the banks of the river Silak near the village of Tumat in 2015. The animal was found in a well-mummified condition, and following an MRI scan, its brain is said to be 70 to 80% intact. In 2011, another canine infant was discovered in the same area, and the two are thought to be related. The puppies are thought to have been killed by a giant landslide around the time of the last ice age. DNA testing has revealed that the animal belongs to the dog family rather than the wolf, and the co-discovery of stone tools nearby suggests that they may even have been pets. Dr. Pavel Nikovsky of the Geological Institute in Moscow told the Siberian Times, "The carcass is preserved really well, and one of the most important things is that the brain is preserved." Korean scientist Hwang Woo-suk says he is excited to have been given samples of the dog's tissue and hopes one day to clone the animal. Just before finishing this video, I found a very recent story of a 2,000-year-old dog graveyard found in Salakhard near the Arctic Circle in July of 2016. Around 115 dogs are said to be buried there, and the remains of 2 sleds were found nearby, so it's thought they were working dogs, owned by villagers at a nearby ancient village. Stories of gigantic holes in the face of the Siberian landscape have been circulating now for a few decades. Back in 1996, the Trinity Broadcasting Network, a religious-based TV network in the US, claimed that the gates of hell had been found in Siberia, Russia. The story behind the original discovery is now widely accepted as being a hoax, and more specifically, an attempt at promoting Christianity amongst atheists. The story mentions that scientists were sent screaming in fear from what they believed to be the gates of hell. The suggested theory was that if atheists were convinced that hell existed, then heaven too must also exist. The original discovery dates back to 1989 and was actually a man-made hole, but not in Siberia. It was in the Kola Peninsula and made for scientific experimentation. In the years since then, several mysterious giant craters have been found in northern Siberia. Originally thought to have been meteor craters or the work of aliens from another planet, they are now thought to be a kind of sinkhole caused by the melting of permafrost below the surface. Permafrost is a layer of thick earth and ice which essentially holds the earth above in place. Once it begins to melt, naturally the earth above collapses, leaving giant cavities, some as deep as 300 feet or 91 meters, and as wide as 260 feet or 79 meters, the biggest of which can be found on the Yamal Peninsula, also known as the end of the world. But there is another feature to these sinkholes that beg explanation. In all recent cases, there are piles of earth surrounding the hole, which suggest that an explosion took place, pushing earth up and out of the area. The build-up of methane is blamed for this. The methane gas is said to build up over a period of time as the permafrost melts, until the sheer pressure explodes outwards, before collapsing into the holes we see now. These earth-covered permafrost areas are known as pingos. Another smaller hole was found in the Taz district of Siberia, just over 200 kilometers or 120 miles east of the original Yamal Peninsula hole. Another in the Taymyr Peninsula was said to be up to 330 feet or 100 meters in length. The original holes were found in 2014 after reindeer herders caught sight of the Yamal Peninsula sinkhole. Global warming is now the most commonly thought cause. If this is the case and the permafrost affected areas or pingos continue to melt, this could cause a more sudden collapse of Earth affecting much larger areas. In May of 2013, the most well-preserved example of a woolly mammoth was found partially encased in ice off the northern coast of Siberia. Scientists say that the female mammoth could be as old as 39,000 years. The upper torso and front legs were covered by earth, not ice, and shown signs of being eaten by predators. The rest of the animal, however, was almost perfectly preserved. Well-preserved frozen pools of blood were also found at the scene, and according to Korean DNA specialists, the species could be brought back to life if spliced with the egg of a modern elephant. The mammoth is thought to have been between 50 and 60 years old when it died. Semyon Grigoriev from the Northeastern Federal University in Siberia said it's the best preserved mammoth in the history of paleontology. Dr. Grigoriev initially put the age of the animal at 10,000 years, but it's now thought to be up to 39,000 years old. Almost unbelievably, it's thought that up to 150 million other woolly mammoth have been buried beneath the permafrost of Siberia. The remains of an ancient woman found in 1993 is said to be that of a 2,500-year-old Siberian princess. She was heavily tattooed and composed in a crouching position inside a wooden crate. Her tomb was discovered alongside 6 horses and a vast array of treasures which lay in the permafrost of the Ukok Plateau, 8,200 feet up in northwestern Siberia. These items included a decorated horse saddle made of felt, which adorned a design of a winged lion. The 25-year-old woman was dubbed the Ukok Princess, whose tattoos were created using the ash of charred wood and other plants. 20 years ago, the woman was removed and preserved in a freezer in the Archaeological and Ethnographic Institute of Novosibirsk. But in 2012, she was returned to the region in which she was discovered and presented at the Republic National Museum in Gorno-Altaysk. She underwent an MRI scan which at first revealed very little to prove her cause of death, but it's now believed she had suffered and probably died from breast cancer. She is one of the earliest known victims of the disease, and further tests concluded that she had smoked cannabis prior to dying, possibly to dull the effects of the cancer. Native ethnic groups in Russia have expressed fears that removing the woman and putting her in a museum may release evil spirits into the world, as they believe she was a mystic force and communicated with such spirits when she was alive. Even after her removal from the ancient tomb, locals said that many people in the area had suffered a great deal of bad luck, and that earth tremors and freak weather had affected the region ever since. They continue to be strongly opposed to the exploitation of the ancient woman, saying that bad luck and unusual occurrences in the area will continue until she is put to rest in her original and rightful place. Local campaigner Akai Khan said the dead cannot be disturbed, and especially they cannot be held on public display. The strength of the opposing locals was so strong that for a while it seemed that the exhibition would not go ahead. But it was agreed that in keeping with local superstitions, The display would be open to the public at the next full moon.